Indie games are like a spicy chicken sandwich from Popeyes, because they're good. I've played a lot of indie games over the past few years, but of all of those games that I've played, 5 of them in particular have really stuck out as better than the rest. So, you read the title, here are my top 5 indie games. Superhot is an incredible game that came out in 2016, and nowadays it seems like everybody has forgotten about it, but not me. I played this game in 2023, and it has remained one of my favorite indie games 2 years later. It's so simple, nothing moves unless you move and you try to kill all the enemies that are trying to kill you. Every level becomes more intense than the last, which is only elevated by the fantastic sound design. There's a surprising lack of music during the gameplay. Almost all of what you're gonna be hearing is just noises of gunshots or various other attacks, most of which from you, which immerses you instantly. Superhot is not going to offer you hundreds of hours of entertainment, but it is going to give you a few hours of pure fun. It also has some pretty interesting lore, which I know a lot of people care about. In that sense, it is a lot like Undertale or Baldi's Basics. Celeste is near perfection when it comes to the 2D platformer genre. Smooth, responsive movement, a great variety of levels and mechanics, a unique art style, and one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. Just like Superhot, Celeste is on this simpler side. It won't take too long for you to understand how the mechanics work and what you're supposed to do next. The fun part is that mastering those mechanics and ideas is actually a lot of work. The game gradually gets harder as you continue, forcing you to improve as a player to the point where the final few levels are so precise that they can feel impossible at times. While your character is climbing up to the top of a mountain, so are you, just in a different way. Terraria is a tough one for me to rank. Some days it's not even in my top 5, and other days I remember that I have 400 hours in the game. It is no secret why Terraria is so good. It offers an insane amount of content, all of which feels fleshed out. The building, the exploration, the combat, even the golfing. There are so many mechanics in Terraria, and very few of them feel cheap. With most games you have to choose between quantity and quality, a little bit of great content or a lot of mediocre content. But in Terraria, you get both. You get a lot of great content. The modding community is also so dedicated and talented. The Calamity mod alone offers you an entirely new experience. I mean, it really is like a brand new game, and there are multiple mods out there just like it. The only reason Terraria is not number 2 is because the learning curve is way too extreme. Getting into the game as a new player is a complete nightmare, and looking stuff up all the time to know what to do next is pretty annoying. Even with that small complaint though, Terraria is really a once-in-a-lifetime kind of game. I usually hate cozy games. They're slow, repetitive, similar to one another, and way too boring. But the one cozy game that hooked me in for hundreds of hours is Stardew Valley. This game is so charming and magical. The world is lively, the NPCs feel like real people, the soundtrack is just perfection. Stardew Valley looks like a farming simulator on the surface, but it goes far beyond that. If you want to be a professional fisher, you can. If you want to spend all of your time mining, you can. Or if you want to spend all of your time farming, like most people, you can do that too. For a game that looks so simple, there's so much player freedom. You can choose what farm layout you want, you can decide which abilities you get after leveling up, you can pick which crops you want to farm, you can decide which NPCs to befriend or even marry. If there is something you want to do in Stardew Valley, you can probably do it. This game has been polished as much as possible, it has few to no noticeable flaws, and if you haven't played Stardew Valley yet, what are you doing? It's like 3 months of free content. In a world with 1.5 million Metroidvanias, one rules supreme. The Wind Waker. Okay, just kidding. Hollow Knight. I have never played an indie game or even a 2D game or Metroidvania as impressive as Hollow Knight. I never care about the lore or story in most games I play, but Hollow Knight's world is so vast and mysterious that I ended up watching hours and hours of lore videos for the game. If that doesn't tell you that the game has an interesting story, I don't know what will. The characters are charming, the map is brilliant, and the boss fights are insane. The final few boss fights are so fast and hard to hit, yet so addictive nonetheless. This is one of the only games where I have straight up fought the same boss fight for hours and hours just to say that I beat it without getting hit while having fun in the process. What makes Hollow Knight so great at the end of the day though isn't the boss fights, it's not the characters, it isn't even the world, although those things are great. It's the music and the atmosphere. What an amazing game.